As I'm pretty sure we're well aware that the video didn't actually get made yesterday and the live stream didn't actually happen. It's kind of to do with I only had an hour and a half, so after work. I should have done it before, but I didn't, so I apologize for that. But anyways, I want to welcome you guys back to another YouTube video, you beautiful hosers. And today is obviously the Cars 3 review. But before I jump into this, I have to say this, because I haven't said this yet. There's going to be 2 reviews today and Black Panther review on Wednesday. Oh boy. So, we're going to have that done. There's 3 reviews. So, if you're subbed only for the reviews, I got 3 of them coming for you. But, other than that, the rest of it is all going to happen as normal. So, we'll also have a live stream tonight on YouTube and Twitch. Same with Thursday. So, anyways, Cars 3. What can I say that is spoiler-free? Well, there's a lot of things that are different between Cars 1 and 3 and 2 and 3. But for the most part, they're actually going back to their roots. By their roots, I mean they're going back to the original character. They're not focusing on side characters like they had been during the second movie. Now, the other thing about this movie is it's a different change of pace. I can't say that yet, though, Tyler. It's a different pace to the movie than the rest of the series had been. It's different in a way, but it also kind of feels the same because the Cars movies kind of have that same feel about them whenever they're being made, whether it's from the goofy animations to the voice acting. But if you were expecting a lot of stuff from the first Cars movie to transfer to this one, considering it should have actually been Cars 2, but it wasn't, you can kind of say it's disappointing in that factor. I mean, we've had 3 Cars movies before The Incredibles, so, which does come out in the middle of the summer. I'm excited for that, but that has nothing to do with this. But I'm just using that as a reference point. But for the most part, with the character Lightning McQueen, they actually go and expand on the character more than they had done in the first previous films. Now, the interesting part about this film is the soundtrack that they chose to use was actually more unique than what they had used for the second film. Now, the second film had a lot of interesting moments with Mater and Lightning McQueen himself and a few other side characters. But it kind of felt more like a filler than actual canon to the Cars series. Now, in this one, they had a little bit better voice acting than 2. I'm not going to say they had a lot better voice acting. They had a few moments that were animation failures, as it's kind of hard to get the certain animations correct that they had shown. Lynch was great. In the trailers, so if you've watched the trailers, you'll know what I'm talking about. Because when they did the trailers and they did the movie, for some reason they didn't actually take the same angles from the trailer that they did in the movie, so it's a different angle that you're seeing in that perspective. But overall, soundtrack was excellent. Voice acting was a little bit better than Cars 2. And it just felt like they had a lot of time to throw in the cheesy one-liners that they did not need. Now, I'm pretty sure the reason why they did that was for some comic relief for kids so that they didn't go the full-blown Jar Jar Binks route. But for the most part, they actually kept most of the annoying characters under lock and key, so you didn't actually see them as much as you could have. But some characters in the film were definitely underutilized, such as 90% of the people from Radiation Springs. I think Radiator Springs? Radiation. I just messed that up. It's not Radiation Springs. It's Radiator Springs, isn't it? I don't know. Oh, man. I should have rewatched the movie because I would have actually got that one correct if I did. But anyways, that's the spoiler-free part. Let's jump into the spoilers. Now, the part that I want to say the most about the spoilers part is, like the first movie, he had the punchline, ka-chow. That was never said in this. Not once. Not twice. Not 3 times. Just not at all. They completely skipped that line. And that line was one of the ones that made the first movie. Now, he did recite the I am Speed line quite a bit in this film. But overall, without adding ka-chow in it, it just kind of felt like they were going for something else, to be honest. And this film, for the most part, isn't actually about Lightning McQueen himself. They do focus him as a main story, but as soon as they introduce the secondary character, that character at the very end of the movie becomes the main character. Now, she is one of the very few that you can say you actually understand throughout the film, but overall she can be quite annoying at times. Not quite like Jar Jar Binks, but she does have a few thought-provoking lines, funny lines, and overall learning curves that she has to go through with Lightning McQueen himself. But overall, when they were doing the character development for these characters, it actually felt like they did it better than they had done with Cars 1 or 2. Now, it was quite interesting to see this because we all know how Cars 2 wasn't all that great. They decided to focus on Mater because Mater was one of the favorite characters. But they later found out how bad of an idea that was when fans were expressing it was bad. And rightfully so, it was bad. First Cars was the best. I have to agree with that one, Tyler. But in this film, there's certain parts where they actually show real-life situations and how to train for them if you were actually going to go and try driving at that sort of competition. Number 1, you'd have to learn how to drift. They show that, and they also shown how to look for spaces, but I don't suggest you go moving in between cows, because essentially that's what the tractors are, is a bunch of cows. I don't suggest you try looking for space in the middle of that. It's kind of a dumb idea, to be honest, but they did show that in the film. I don't suggest doing that. Same with driving downhill towards trees. I don't suggest you do that either and rely on your instincts. As we all know, we have bad judgment sometimes, so I don't suggest doing that either. But what I'm saying is, like near the end of the film, when they were showing the final race and Lightning pulls over, he pretty much gave the person a chance that was never really given a chance. And that person actually ended up finishing for Lightning himself and becoming the new face of Dinoco. Now, if you don't remember, Dinoco was actually the brand Lightning McQueen wanted to sign with in the first film. But he never did. They signed somebody else. And they did bring Chick Hicks back, and he's more annoying than he was in the first film. He's more arrogant and prideful than he had been. I believe he referenced himself at least 20 times within the 5 times that he was shown. Because he constantly brings up the fact he beat Lightning McQueen. He won the cup. And then he also brings up another point from the first film where everybody hated him. He actually brings that up. And the film actually goes quiet for that moment in time, which I actually think was funny because of how much of a jerk he was in the first film. But that made sense. But long story short, Lightning McQueen actually made his apprentice that he didn't realize was his competition at the very midpoint of the film, closer to the end, his mainstay, and also who he was actually supposed to be training this entire time after he found out that's what Doc did. Doc found he couldn't race anymore, so he trained Lightning McQueen to be the racer he never could have been. Now Lightning did the same for this character, and it actually worked out better overall than it did for Doc, to be completely honest. But anyways, we're past the 10-minute mark. We've talked spoilers, we've talked non-spoilers. Overall review is an 8.4. Now the reason for the 8.4 is there are quite a few flaws in the film itself. Not just because it's a Cars film, but there's animations failures, and then there's some strange sound effects that happen for absolutely no reason. I'm not sure if anybody's caught that, but did happen. So, good score. I liked it a lot. Well, I'm not going to say it's a bad film. It's a good kids film. But if you're picking out editing mistakes, it's pretty much going nuts. Because every film has a slip-up. So, anyways, I hope you're having a fantastic 2018. And if you're not, I hope it gets better for you sooner rather than later. If I can even